I'm a conversion copywriter, and my husband and I, like, we have our own agency, and I also have a course where I teach other freelancers how to niche into copywriting. And when I started doing this, to be honest, if God didn't lead me into this, like, I probably wouldn't have ventured into it just because of the doubts that flooded my mind, right? Like, so many doubts, imposter syndrome, feeling like I shouldn't be doing this because I'm supposed to be focused on my kids 24/7. I can't do this because someone else is already doing it. No one's going to care. No one's going to hire me. Why would anyone care? And it's just not true, right? There, like, I just wish I could, like, shout it from the rooftop. Like, there's room in the market for you. And I don't remember where it was, but I heard someone say this and it stuck with me. And they were talking about how, like, in business, it's not like there's like this pie, right? And every time there's like a slice cut out, the pie gets smaller and then there's not enough left. It's not like that. It's like that circle is always expanding and there's plenty of room for everyone. And like, what you have to offer is needed. Like, it's very needed. So if I could say one thing to everyone, it's like, you know what, just try. Like, the worst thing that happens is like you get a no, but I just like firmly believe in, like, try, just try. Don't be
Yeah,
afraid to try.
absolutely. So, if you would share a little bit more about how did you move past that? How did you how those feelings come up when you were searching and searching and trying to figure it out, but then still, like you still started the thing. You still,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how did you find, like, what are ways that helped you to move through the fear and just get started?
Um, so to be honest, like, for me, it was God and prayer.
Mhm.
Because I just, like, not everyone listening to this podcast may be a believer in Christ, and I know that, but I can't really talk about my story and, like, this. When I say success, I don't mean that in a way of like I've arrived, but the successes and wins that I've seen so far, I can't even talk about that with acknowledging my source for that, which is Christ. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Like, he's the one who gave me the wisdom, gave me the encouragement, gave me the confirmations to know you're going in the right direction. This is what I want you to do. Because to be honest, if it wasn't for him, I would have gave up. Like, there were so many times where I doubted and I was like, I shouldn't be focusing on this. It's just a distraction from my kids, from my spiritual life, from my marriage and my other responsibilities. I shouldn't be doing this. But time and time again, it just kept coming up. Like, he wanted me to do this. This is important. Like, he emphasized that to me. And that's the only reason, I'm just being honest, like, that's the only reason I was able to move past that, and the only reason why I'm still here doing this.
I love that so much. It's so powerful. And it's a message that I needed to hear. And I'm sure
Glory
so
to
many
God.
other people need to hear because I have chills. I'm like, yes, yes. And I struggle with that because it's like a control thing. And
Mhm.
I'm a planner and I want
Me
to
too.
map it all
Me
out and I
too.
want to know. And it's like the more I try to do that, the more obstacles I'm facing. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, okay, I've got to let go of some of that control
Mhm.
and know that I'm going to be taken care of because he's going
Yes.
to direct me wherever that needs to go. And that is such a hard dance for me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like, where do I take control and where do I let
Mhm.
go? You
Mhm.
know? And that has been really hard. I am walking through that right now.
Mm.
Like,
I understand. Yeah,
yeah,
I do understand. And I love your, like, humility and just being transparent about that. I'm sure that's going to help other people.
yeah,
Because
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like and I love success stories and I love hearing about how people, made things happen. But I also want to share in the moments of struggle and in the moments of,
Yes.
I'm figuring it out. I'm starting this thing and it's messy and let's just see where it goes, you
And it's
know?
needed because, like, for me, there are certain key people that like were so transparent online about what they were going through, and it blessed me so much. Some of them were business owners, they weren't even believers, but some of them were believers, some of them were in ministry, and just like seeing different people kind of like be open about what they were going through, it just blessed me so much to feel like I'm not the only one. And that's what I would say to anyone struggling, like you're not the only one. You know, even the Bible says like the temptations you're facing, they're common to man. So whatever struggle, like weakness, anything that you're facing, like it's a common human experience that someone else out there is struggling with. It's just that that's not what you're going to see advertised on social media. That's not what people are going to talk about. Like even people who are in places of success, and I've seen this firsthand, not only in our industry, but even the industry that I used to work in. Like there's people that I knew who like, you know, they had these huge platforms. If they go on the street, people know who they are. They
Mhm.
think that they have like they put on this specific like costume of like everything's great, I'm happy and successful, but I knew for a fact behind the scenes that they were depressed, some of them even suicidal, and it's not what they were putting out on social media. And like 95% of the time, or even probably higher than that, I'm making up this statistic, but like I feel like 99.9% of the time, what you see on social media, I'm not going to say it's a lie, right? But it's not the whole story, because no one is going to be transparent about everything that they're going through. One, it wouldn't be wisdom to do that. Like, yes, we can share some things, but it just wouldn't even be wisdom to share everything.
Mhm.
And number two, you know, sometimes you need to go through things in private with you and God. And then once He brings you through it, you'll be in a place to talk about it, um, from more of a position of like, God brought me through this, and you can inspire someone, but not everything is for us to share. So,
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I love that. Um, and I think that, knowing that you're not alone is so
yeah.
powerful. And just like not being in that isolation and knowing
Hmm.
that you have people that, are going through
Yes.
the same thing or have gone through it, and to find, community in that. Okay, so I'd love to just walk through a little bit more about how you got started with your businesses. So, like, what were you doing before, and how did you jump into copywriting?
Yeah, so my story is very interesting actually, and I hopefully will encourage someone out there who feels like, hey, I want to do this, but like I don't feel qualified. So I hope that this will like help. So I started and you know, I was doing like freelance writing and like marketing in a different niche, but to be honest, like I wasn't getting really paid well for all the work that I was doing. I ended up leaving all of that completely, and I got into the hospitality industry. I was managing Airbnb properties for someone, and cleaning them and doing all that for a few years. And I never thought that I would be doing anything different, I guess. I started to actually like that work, and it sounds super random and like, you know, unexpected, but that's what I was doing. That's where God had me. And I actually went through like some really difficult seasons. And this was before getting married and everything. But like at one point, I didn't even have, I was like living in New York City. I didn't have a place to live. I was like couch surfing. I was never like sleeping on the streets or anything like that. But I was like homeless in a sense, because I was just like couch surfing and like, you know, staying in different people's homes. And it was a really hard season. So, you know, God opened a door for me to, you know, manage these Airbnb properties. And so I was doing that, and like I was literally like living the Airbnb life myself.
That's
Um
awesome.
yeah, it was interesting. And I actually really liked my job, and it was paying well. So, you know, it was good. But after getting married, like that job just wasn't a good fit for me. Like there were times when I would like literally be working until like midnight. Like it was crazy. So it was just not conducive to my new marriage. And like I got pregnant shortly after getting married. So I started looking at ways that I could use the skills I had to like work remotely. And I kind of like got back into freelancing. So I was like writing blog posts and things like that. I was doing like social media and everything like that. But the problem was that like I didn't really have the wisdom on how to like really take that business to the next level. So I was getting like all these like really cheap jobs. So it was
Mhm.
like bringing in some money and giving me some experience, but it wasn't really like helping me reach the goal that I wanted to reach to really help my family. So it was crazy. Like when I had my first two children, at one point, like my husband was working like 12-hour days. He was working so much, and I just wanted to help contribute. But even with the jobs I was getting, I had to work so much just to like reach a decent income. So it just wasn't working. So finally, like I came across copywriting, and it was really a godsend. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I really felt God like leading me to do that and showing me like, that's what I should do. I should be a copywriter. So I slowly made the transition from being like this like VA content creator towards like niching as like a conversion copywriter. And the first official client that I got for that specific like role was a current client that I had, and I was doing like some social media copy for her. And I upsold her on my service. And I was trained in everything. Like I had did my research. I was working on my skills, learning copywriting. So I wasn't just like pitching her this out of the blue, right? But I actually was like, learning about it, and I upsold her by just giving her free value. Like I was over Facebook Messenger, and she was like telling me about her launch, and I was just giving her value. I was like, hey, you should do this, and just sharing like what I was learning about. And she really appreciated it. And I just let her know, like, well, if that's something you need help executing, like I can do that. And then that's when I shared about my copywriting services and my packages. And she ended up buying a package for me. So that was like, yeah, that was a major, major shift for me. And then from there, I got a position working in-house for a course creator. And I did that for about 18 months. I worked with an established course creator, and that was an amazing experience because I just learned so much
That's
during
awesome.
that time. So that's the short version. And now I'm working in my own agency. I'm not working in house anymore, but I work with clients in my own agency with my husband, and I also coach other freelancers who want to do what I'm doing.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I truly, truly enjoy what I do. And I just try to find ways to really like honor God within that, and just kind of look at it as like ministry opportunities to encourage other people and just like point others to Christ.
That's so cool. Um, can you tell me about a time when you when you had to be brave in your life to move through like a hard season or to move through a new challenge? And kind of how did you walk through that?
There's been so many. There's been a lot. So um I'll say for me, one of the hardest ones, wow, there were like, I'm like, where should I even begin, right? One of the hardest ones I think was when my older son, he was about 8 or 9 months old, maybe somewhere between the 7 and 9 month range. And he was like having some health issues with his skin, like because
Mhm.
he had eczema. And he ended up getting like a really, really bad viral infection. So for anyone listening who has had experience with eczema, or their kids have had eczema, they're gonna understand what I'm talking about, because like your skin is just very sensitive. And so like pretty much he had contracted like a really, really severe infection in his skin, and he was hospitalized for about a week, and it was like life threatening. So it was a really, really scary time for us. But I can't even say that I was brave through that, but God was faithful through it.
Mhm.
And, with prayer, like, God really spared his life and helped him, and now he's in such a much better place. But for a while we had gone through like a really really difficult season with him and his health. And I know his parents, like a lot of us, go through a lot of challenges, and it pops up in different forms.
Mhm.
Everyone has a different cross to carry. Some people, they have difficulty in conceiving children. I have very close friends who have gone through a loss trying to conceive children, and it comes in that form. For others, it pops up differently, but at the end of the day we all go through our own trials. But what I can say is that, like, just like I can't talk about my wins without acknowledging God, I can't really talk about my challenges either without
Mhm.
acknowledging that Christ is the only one who really got me through it. And yeah, I will say that that was like probably one of the most difficult things that I had ever gone through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that story. I know
Yeah.
that helps a lot of people to know that they're not alone in that kind of struggle. Um, what else was I going to say? Something popped up when you were talking. Oh, I was going to ask you about having three young kids and running two businesses, right? Like, how does that all work? How does that play out? How do you make it possible to juggle? I mean, there's no perfect balance, but like, how do you find that balancing act between the kiddos and the businesses to keep it running?
Um, it's hard sometimes, to be honest. And I think that any parent, especially for moms who like work from home, um, they know like it's hard and it's not easy, because you go through two struggles, right? You go through the struggle of feeling like you're not giving your kid enough attention, and then the struggle of feeling like you don't give your business enough attention.
Mhm.
So both of those like aspects are constantly like kind of demanding your attention, and you feel like your kids need more of you, but also feeling like you need to spend more time to grow your business so that you can help your family more. So it's not easy. And again, like, I think the only reason that I can sustain it is God and prayer. And I, just like seeking him for wisdom about how to manage things. That's honestly um the only thing, the only reason why I can handle it all. And one of the things that I'll share, there's a scripture in, I think it's in Ecclesiastes, and it says that if the axe is dull, you have to exert more strength, right, to cut down the tree. But wisdom, and I'm paraphrasing this, but wisdom will tell you to sharpen the axe so that you can use less effort, right? And I
Mhm.
feel like that kind of applies to like my life. It's like through prayer and seeking his word, he shows me these strategies that are like, it's like truly God's wisdom, these strategies about how to make more progress with less effort and in less time. And that's what's really enabled me to be able to do what I'm doing.
Oh, I
If I
love
was to
that.
boil it down to like one secret ingredient, that's really
Mhm.
what it comes down to. Um, and I'll share that one of the shifts that God taught me, and that I had to make in my business, was niching down into a service that was like a premium service, right? Going from being a generalist to a specialist. That was one of the key. There's like, there's many components to it, but I'll say that was one of the ways, one of the things that God really showed me I needed to do to be able to like sustain this without working like 40 hours a week.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that makes so much sense. It like sounds simple, but I mean, I'm sure there's so much that goes into
Yeah.
that process, but yeah, that's awesome. That's really great advice too. Okay, so what are you currently kind of working on? What's coming up for you in your business? And where can everyone find you and find your services?
Yeah. So I'll share a little bit about my businesses.
Yeah.
What my first business is called Honey Digital, and it's a digital agency, and we provide, branding services, marketing services to other business owners. I work primarily with like B2B businesses and service providers, but I've worked with other kinds of businesses too. So I offer messaging strategy, consulting, copywriting, and my husband offers video production. So he's a creative producer and he does like brand videos. So we work together in that. And then I have the second business is called The Virtual Mama, and I have a course called Copyland where I teach other people, other freelancers, other, virtual assistants, how to niche into copywriting and pretty much like the roadmap, the blueprint that God gave me to get to where I am today that took me years to figure out. I give it to them in this course so that they can make progress a lot faster. I had a lot of freelancers and virtual assistants coming up to me when I was working in house and asking like, how can I do what you're doing? How can I niche into copywriting and offer this to clients? And I was helping them out, and it was received really well. So I feel led to put it into a course. And so I have that as well to help others who are interested in learning how they can stop spinning their wheels, struggling in their business, and really like niche down into something that is offering a higher level of um like just it's copy is a very valuable asset. So it's like you're helping other businesses become more profitable, but you're also helping your family because you don't have to work as many hours to hit that full-time income. And you can do that with a service like copywriting because it's a premium skill and businesses are willing to pay a premium price for it because it makes them so profitable.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
That's so
that's
great.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. And as far as like where they can find me, they can I have a free like masterclass video for anyone who's interested in niching into copywriting. And they can find that at thevirtualmama.com/free class. And it's a free hour-long class. And it really, if you're interested in getting started, this will really like help you figure out if this is something you want to go like actually do or not, and if you do want to do it, what it's going to take. um and so it's a great starting point. I'm also on Instagram at the virtual mama, and I love connecting with people. Like I'm not one of those people that like just like elusive, like I just put out content and like ignore everybody. But I actually really love engaging with people, hearing their stories, sharing insight. So I'm approachable if you want to reach out to me. And I have a Facebook group as well. And it's called Virtual Assistant Copywriter Collective. So yeah.
Awesome. That's so great. Um, is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't talked about?
Um, let's see, what else can I share to help encourage people? I would say don't give up. Don't give up so easy, because one of the things that I see a lot of people in my community struggling with, like even people who have like literally purchased my course, right? And they're like, I just I see sometimes people get really discouraged, and I've been there too, so I understand, but people get so discouraged because they're not seeing the results, right, that they want to see. And I just want to tell you that it is possible. Like if you're looking to start any kind of freelance business, any kind of service-based business, whether it's copywriting or something else, like the clients are there. There is no shortage of businesses that need what you have to offer. But what you really need to hone in on is number one, your skill, right? Be the best at what you do. If you're trying to be a copywriter, be the best copywriter that you can be, right? Not comparing yourself to someone else, not being like, oh, I'm going to be better than this person or that person, but the best of your ability, right?
Mhm.
Bringing your uniqueness, your experiences, your insight, and all that you have to offer as a human being. Be the best you can be. And number two, seek out wisdom, knowledge, strategies from other people who have done it successfully so that you can fast track, make progress faster. If you do those two things, it will put you in a really, really good place.
Love that. That's so helpful. Um, and then I was going to talk to you about, so you mentioned that a lot of people in your community are looking for jobs, or like what specifically are they looking for? Like virtual assistant type jobs, or because I did just start recruiting and I'm like
Yeah.
it's very beginning for me. So I'm still like
Yeah.
learning and figuring things out, but would love to, collaborate on that as well, or
For
help your
sure.
community. So
For sure. Yeah.
what are you seeing that they're looking for?
So most of my community is, people who want to niche into copywriting or some form
Hmm.
of freelance writing. Some of them are content writers, but the majority, they want to be copywriters. Some of them are just starting their business, but some of them are already freelancers, but they just want to like niche down or get to the next level. So they're
Yeah.
really struggling to get clients consistently and good quality clients
Mm,
consistently. So that's kind of like what they're struggling. And I know that the jobs and the clients are out there.
yeah.
Um, it's just about them really understanding and learning how to position themselves, present themselves, and all the components that go into that.
Hmm.
But I really believe that they can do it. They just need to hone in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see like, I don't know. I feel like there's a whole market out there and it's like it hasn't been completely tapped into as far as connecting people with companies and clients, because I feel like there's so many people moving towards more of
Yeah.
a freelance type of
Yeah.
business and more of the gig economy, if you've heard of that, where they're picking up, different gigs and different
Yeah.
jobs, and but not having like an actual full-time 9 to 5. And I feel like, what can I do? You know what I mean? To like connect people. And I
Mhm.
haven't gotten there yet, but it would be cool to be able to have a service of some type where you're connecting, those freelance workers to companies that are looking, for that type of work. And I know
Yeah.
there's Upwork and there's all sorts of things like that, but something that's a little bit more specialized, I guess.
Yeah, and I've seen more of that popping up, but I feel like there's so much more room for more of it. And
Hmm.
I believe that like you can put a unique twist on it that's your own and it's just different because like even
Yeah.
for me, like I know there's other copy coaches out there and I don't follow them um because I'm not the type, I don't like to just be there like, oh, I'm gonna lurk and see what you're doing. Like I just
Hmm.
prefer to like stay in my lane and focus on like, what I have going on. So it's not that I don't mean it in a like negative way, but it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to scope my competition or something like that, but I'm aware that they're there and everything. And I think that's okay because no one is going to do it exactly the way that I do, and no one is going to do it exactly the way that they do. So people will, you know, um, kind of gravitate towards you based on like that uniqueness that you bring, like
Hmm.
your beliefs and the way that you teach, the way you approach things. It will be different. And there's room, for that. There's room for you, there's room for all of us. So I think that if that's something on your heart, you should pursue it because it is something that's needed. A lot of people are struggling to really find clients. So I'm sure
Hmm.
that God can give you some creative strategies or like ideas as far as like how to go about putting it together. You
Hmm.
know, some people, they create like a platform, like, like there's like Upwork and there's other ones, but maybe for you, you're not gonna create a software. Maybe you're gonna actually like work one-on-one with people. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I'm pretty sure you'll find something that like works for you and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like one of those thoughts. You know what I mean? You just have like an idea and you're like, I wonder what that could be. And I wonder
Yeah.
what that could turn into. So it's one of those things. And I love doing so many different things. I'm like, I have a hard time sometimes focusing on, okay, just do this
Hmm.
one thing for now, and then let's like build on something later. And so I'm like, I want to be involved with all of it. And I'm like, let's do this. Let's do this. Like
You know,
sometimes I've
I
got to
can really
organize my
relate to
mind.
you. I can relate to you. And one of the things that like my husband and I were talking about this recently, and there's things about us, right, that we might think are weaknesses, but there's a strength in it and we need to learn to embrace it how God created us. I used to think I had a problem. I'm just being so transparent because I would have so many ideas and I'm kind of like um an action taker and I just like to start. And
Yes.
it can be a weakness if I'm being hasty, but it can also be a strength in that I'm an action taker. There's things God wants me to execute on. And I'm the type of person that it might look crazy and not make sense to other people, but God gave me the vision and the confirmation. So I'm going to go with it. And that's got me here. Right.
Yeah.
So the virtual mama with one of my businesses, it started as like what you just said, this idea that came to my mind. I was on Canva making these really ugly logos for it. And 3 years later, like it's turned into what it is today. And
Yeah.
it's helping people and it's helping my family. And I know the business will continue to grow. But I never really like at the time I didn't see it turning into this and flourishing, but it started as an idea. It's every oak tree started as like a small seed, right? So,
Yeah.
embrace that about yourself and just like I guess like for us, I think that it's just about having kind of like self-control and discernment and like, okay, I have this idea, I'm passionate about it. Let me take it to the Lord. Let me pray about it and see if this is something He wants me to do and if this is the right time for it. And if you get the confirmation, then run with it and embrace it. And if if it's not for you, then He'll let you know and you can focus on other things, but don't
Yeah.
always see it as a bad thing because I've done that, like where it's like any idea I get, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Let me just shut it down and focus. But then I can't get it out of my head, right? So I'm
Yeah.
just learning, like, let me write it down, let me pray about it, and then go from there. But don't like be so hard on yourself thinking there's something wrong with you because you have so many ideas. It could be actually a blessing. Maybe God just wants to use you to do many things, and it's just part of like who you are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you for that.
Glory to
Yeah, I
God.
need that because that is my mindset sometimes is like, "Oh my gosh, thinking crazy again," like
That's
just
me. I understand. Yeah. But some of those ideas might not be just a crazy idea. It might be
Mhm.
something that like God wants you to take action on. And again, it might not be. So I'm not saying we have to like, take action on every single idea, but if it won't leave you and you
Yeah.
just have it in your heart, then there might be something there. And I believe like, if you have a relationship with God, you can bring it to Him in prayer and He'll lead you about it. And if it's
Mhm.
something He wants you to do, He'll give you the blueprint. So,
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much. Oh
glory
my
to
gosh.
God.